Hello once again, Little Rock School District colleagues. I'm Pamela Smith, Communications Director for the district, though you probably know that because I hit you up with so many emails every single day. But it's another exciting afternoon. This is part 2 of our very important discussion about compensation or salary increases, better known as potential raises. Who's not excited about that, right? We had the opportunity to visit with our certified staff last week, and so this week, we are turning our attention to our non-teaching employees. We got a very important conversation for you today. You're going to hear from our leaders, of course, Superintendent Mike Poore, who is just behind me. And then if I scoot over just a little bit, you'll see Mr. Robert Robinson, who's the Executive Director of our HR department, along with his team members and other members of the classified PPC, whom you will be being introduced to more formally in just a moment. But we want to remind you, this is a super important opportunity to get information. And at the end of this, we'll be sharing the link with you through your email so you can provide input. We've had a few people logging on to the job form to share what their thoughts were about the certified classifications. But now it's your turn for our non-teachers. And we want to make sure that you weigh in because it's important for you to be a part of this discussion. We'll tell you more about some important dates and timelines at the end. So we invite you to stay tuned, take great notes, and then at the end of the conversation, you'll have an opportunity to share feedback. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Mike Poore. Mr. Poore.
Thank you, Pam, and it's always good to have Pam kick off on any kind of event, and appreciate her lead into this. This is an exciting topic to be discussed, but actually, we have so many things that we really should be pleased about with how our first quarter's gone. Get this. We are now at the end of the first quarter as of today, I believe. So that's exciting news in terms of just, our progression through the school year. And when you think about our progression, it begins in some ways with what we've done to make sure that everyone is healthy and safe. And the mask mandate, I'm proud of how all of us have responded to that as a community, as parents, students, and especially you as staff to make sure that we have masks. And really, when you look at it in terms of all the statistics, Little Rock School District is very rarely ever in the top 5, many times not even the top 10, even though we're the second largest school district. And that's because we've done a good job with mask mandates. But we've also done a good job on getting vaccinated. We have 84% at least right now who have been vaccinated, and that number is growing really every day. So the 84% really says so much about what we're trying to do to make sure that we're safe for each other, we're safe for our kids, and we're safe for our bigger community, the family that we most care about. When you get vaccinated, you wear the mask, we're making sure that we're taking care of all those that they're around all the time and that we care the most about. So thank you. Next, I want to share that we have an upcoming ballot issue, and I just can't not bring this up. We want you to be well informed. You can't advocate during your school hours, but boy, you sure can advocate when you're away from school. Now, this Just the Fact sheet that you have up on your screen right now is available on the website, can be made available through your supervisor or your principal or your director. If you can't find it, email me or Pam, and we will get this to you. The reality is, the last time this community voted on any matter that provided resources to this district, and it was successful, was in 1999, and then that money started to flow in 2000. Since that time, we have not been successful, yet our buildings have aged. The plan of what we want to try to do is not new. It's not something that's just been generated since I've arrived. This is my 6th year. This has been a part of discussions by former board members, by superintendents for well over a decade. And some would say even probably about 20 years ago that many of these discussions took place. This is not a tax increase. That's number one. And if nothing else, at least make sure you're aware that it's not a tax increase. It's a refinance of our debt. So we are refinancing just like many of you have refinanced your home. When interest rates are low, you refinance because it lowers your payments and it can't even put money in your pocket. The district's doing the same thing. Again, not a tax increase, but a refinance. If you refinance in the case of the district, we're refinancing bonds. That's going to extend our payments out It's going to potentially lower payments, and it's going to generate $300 million. We've been very transparent in terms of sharing all the projects that we plan to do if this is successful. And that's on this just the fact sheet. It starts first and foremost with trying to replace where we're at now with Cloverdale and move them over to the McClellan campus. That's a promise that's been made, and I plan to deliver it with a successful election. And we will build a building there that will be equal to Pinnacle View, equal to Southwest, something that our entire community can be proud of, and that will serve the students of Southwest community. We also want to share that we're going to do things with our high schools, because we know we need to do things to help move our campuses along to be more accessible for the Ford NGL program, Career Academies. So we will do that. We also know that at Central High, we've got to replace portables. You can see that we have an item that shows $55 million there at the bottom of the screen of replacing portables. I anticipate at least 45 million of that to go towards Central High to finally get rid of the portables and put in outstanding science labs for the students and staff at Central High. We also know that we're going to look at putting in a new West Little Rock High School. And that is exciting because we are losing some students right now out in that part of our city. It's a growing part of our city. And I think it actually can enhance our enrollment. Finally, we've been very conservative on all the estimates on these projects. All the projects are labeled out, and we're hoping that they come under budget and on time, just like we've done with all of our other projects, which are a part of Just the Facts. Now, what's more exciting than that, and let me finish with the thought that, you know, you can talk about this in a factual way during the work hours, but away from work, you can create your own advocacy, whether you're for it or against it, and we do ask you to be engaged. I'd like to shift now to something that I'm very excited, and I know that this whole group of people that are surrounding me are excited to talk about with you today. I can tell you that in my 38 years of education, I've never experienced as a teacher, as a principal, all the other types of positions that I've held, or even as a former superintendent in other districts, an opportunity to say, we're coming at you not with just a 1-year raise, but a 2-year raise, a 3-year raise, 3 successive years of increase. That's what's been mapped out. Our board will receive documents. In fact, they received them today to share all the factual information about salary increases for all employees. Today, we're specifically addressing salary increases for our classified employees and for our administrators. Classified employees, when I talked to you over the span of time since I've been here, some of you have not seen a real salary increase in decades. Decades means more than just 10 years, could be 20 years. Some of you haven't had an increase for 10, some maybe 5, it just varies. But we've got a package right now where all employees will get a salary increase. And that's very exciting to me. Second, there is a real opportunity here that if the board approves this, that these increases will go and be retro, meaning that when your contract started, when this increase, if it's approved, we're going to go back and pay you at that higher rate over the span of time up to then increasing your salary of what we're pushing forward to you today. So think about that. You're going to get an enhanced salary, but you're also in some ways going to get a bonus of additional money that you've accumulated with the new salary from the start of the year. I hope that makes sense. And they're probably, Mr. Robinson might be even better at sharing this with you, but boy, I'm pumped up. And the reason I'm pumped up is you deserve it. I want to finish with some of those comments at the end of this, but I'm going to turn it to Mr. Robinson, our Executive Director of HR right now.
Good. Superintendent, I must say also, this is so exciting. And we appreciate the leadership you have provided. And even as I said with the teachers when we met last week, that every once in a while a person captures the essence at the time, he becomes spokesman for the time. And certainly everything will rise and fall on leadership, and you provide the leadership to get us where we are. I want to thank you for that. The superintendent also indicated last week we talked about teachers, and it's so important that we understand we're talking about all employees excluding teachers today. And unlike the teacher salary schedule, it's important that you understand, I just received an email too regarding the salary schedule. I think we may have that available so we can look at the salary schedule in just a moment. The question I asked, what about a person who has a master's degree? Now, this schedule is different than the teacher salary schedule. Teacher salary schedule, you got a master's, you got a BA degree, then you got a BA plus 12, you got a BA plus 24, got to be a plus 36, or a master's degree, master plus 15, master plus 30. Unlike the teacher salary schedule, that is not the case when it comes to non-teaching position. However, we have classified all positions in the district. The range 101 through 134. So it is the responsibility of the superintendent to recommend salary schedules to the board. And so this is a master pay plan that the superintendent is recommending to the board as the master pay schedule for all non-teaching positions. So that'll range from 101 through 134. Now this is key. You have 20 steps. Whether you are range 101, 102, or 134, that is determined by the administration as they look at the job description and look at the market area to determine how that position should be classified. So once that decision is made by the administration, as we create job description, then the job is advertised in one of these grades. Now, when you transition from the old pay system to this new pay system for the 21-22 school year, it is important to understand this. You may have more than the number of years where we will place you on this schedule. But at this point, the commitment from the superintendent is recommending that all employees receive at least a 3% pay increase across the board. And I think that's wonderful. I will start clapping my hands on that myself. and it's going to be retroactive, as the superintendent indicated. So, and then when you look at 1 through 20, then we're talking about the years of experience. So horizontally, you are talking about years of experience, and vertically, we're talking about how the administration has assigned the pay range to the position. Now, if for some reason down the road, a pay range you feel is not the appropriate pay range for the assigned position, then there is a process. There's a compensation startup to your process that you will in turn get with your supervisor, and they will in turn talk with the appropriate committee and make the presentation. A committee has been created by the superintendent who will address these concerns as well. And superintendent, I'm pleased to have with me today Ms. Jordan Eason, who is the Director of Employee Relations and Benefits to my right. And then to my left is Ms. Renee Kovac, who is Director for Certified Staff. They're going to speak briefly, and then Ms. Eason going to introduce 2 special guests who we have with us today as well. Ms. Eason, please proceed.
Yes, hello, everyone. Not only am I one of our HR directors, I also have the pleasure of currently being the chairperson for the Classified Personnel Policy Committee. So I'm very excited to have that honor. I have 2 individuals from our Personnel Policy Committee with me today that are behind me that I will introduce to you here in just one second. I do want to say that our Classified Personnel Policy Committee has worked diligently with administration to make sure that we understand the comprehensive proposal that is before all of us, that will be before all of us to vote on very soon. And the Classified PPC Committee highly supports the comprehension salary proposal. We're excited about it. As I think it was Mr. Poore mentioned, a decade, it's been too long. And so we're very excited. We're hoping that all of you will support this increase in our salary, as Mr. Robinson said, at least a 3% increase across the board, and that is for the first year. And as Mr. Poore let you know, this is a 3-year plan, not just this first year plan, which we will receive the 3%. So I'm very excited for that. And one of our representatives for, Ms. Keisha Dunn, she is our custodial representative, and she would like to speak to you this evening regarding her thoughts on the comprehension proposal.
Yes, good evening. We all on this committee agreed to this proposal, and I think that it will help us out a whole lot. We need it. For once, I think it will help keep our employees here at the Little Rock School District, because we have lost a lot due to new jobs coming to Arkansas. And with us getting this, I truly think it will, a lot of people like working for the district, and I think they would stay if we get this, because they like working with the kids, they like working with the employees, and it would benefit all of us. We really need this, and I hope and pray that everybody vote for this. Not only for the custodians, but for all the classified, I'm rooting for it.
Ms. Dunn made a huge point. I think that this compensation proposal will greatly help out in the retention of our employees. And as Mr. Poor said earlier, that they all deserve it. We all deserve it. So very excited. I also want to introduce to you.
And Ms. Eason, before you go,
Yes, sir.
I hope I'm not catching you off guard though. Kind of talk to us and just highlight then, what would you say is the current top out salary for a regular custodian?
Okay.
And what would be the top out, proposed top out for a custodian with this proposal superintendent had before us?
I'm glad you asked that, Mr.
Sure.
Robinson. As a quick example,
Mhm.
our current top out salary for our custodians working a 245-day contract is $32,642. And the future, the new top out salary of a custodian would be $39,268. So that is a difference of $6,626 difference in the top out salaries of a custodian. So we're talking a huge raise for employees. So I just cannot stress how excited we are.
That's over a 3-year span, right? That
Yes.
32 to 39.
Yes. Well,
No, this year.
yeah, well, once they're
That's the new top out.
placed, that is, yeah, once they're
Once-
placed, that's the new top
Okay,
out.
the new range goes up.
Yes,
there.
sir.
Thank you.
That's right, that's right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad I asked because I would have
Yes.
been wrong. If I
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I would also like to introduce to you Miss Patricia Brown. You may all know her. She actually represents our nurse group. She's our nurse representative, but I'm sure a lot of you may recognize her because she was chosen as our classified overall employee of the year. So Miss Patricia Brown, and she would like to speak to you today about her thoughts on the comprehensive proposal.
Yes, I would like to first of all say that I'm really proud to be working with everybody in the district. Every single person is so important to help us to keep our schools open for our students to be able to learn and progress and catch up from the past year where they were doing so much of virtual. So we want to thank you all for everything each one of you are doing. And so I think this is a wonderful way to say thanks for what everybody is doing. And it's not perfect, but it is a giant step in the right direction because we know it has been a long time since we've had raises in this domain. And this is very much deserved. And I know many people are wondering why it didn't happen a long time ago, but let's be really excited and happy that we're on the go now. And this is going to really make a difference in, I think, the morale of our, all of our employees. And like I said, it's a really giant step in the right direction. And just be patient and it will all be explained to you because it can be rather confusing.
Sure, please.
One additional item, Patricia Brown says it can be confusing. One additional item I may choose to lift up would be that, in this first year, the major piece is all employees are going to receive the 3% pay raise. And also another huge piece to that is, as all of you may know, we were going to have a brand new salary schedule. And as Mr. Robinson let you know, each employee will be assigned a salary code. So once everyone receives their 3% increase, that will be added to our current salary. Then we're going to take that number and look at your new assigned salary code and find the closest step with that 3% increase to your salary, find that closest step to that new number, and that's where you'll be placed. I say that to say that there could be an increase of a little slightly more than 3%, depending on the steps and the level and the number that you arrive at. So we are super excited. So at least a 3% increase. And that's how you'll be placed on the new schedule.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Ms. Kovac, please, and will you kind of talk a little bit about the certified side? Because on this schedule, as the superintendent indicated, we have, of course, classified employees, but all administrators, and that is certified administrators as well as non-certified administrators. If you can just kind of enlarge upon the certified.
Yes, and then on the other side, we do have certificated our elementary principals that we will be able to place on there, or any other supervisor that is certificated. So again, they talked about there's a unified salary code that has been determined based on the 3% increase. And this is a 245-day amount. So if you're working, like an elementary principal works 220 days, so you're going to take that amount and you're going to divide that by the number of days, or excuse me, your daily rate of pay. So we'll find that on there. So a top elementary principal, as an example, on a step 20, they do make $93,072 as their top out. But whenever we figure out based on the salary code, that's a 1, 2, 3, which is easy to remember. They will get at least a 3% increase. So that's going to at least be $95,865. So what we'll do is go back to that salary schedule, that's the 245, find that amount and make that adjustment based on the 220 days and the 245 days. So we'll make that adjustment, but at least give the 3% raise for that amount. And that may give some people an opportunity to have more room to grow on that salary schedule and not be stuck at the top like so many of you are, and you've been that way for 20+ years. So this is going to give you not only the raise, but also an opportunity to move forward on a few more steps.
Thank you, Ms. Coed, and thank you all. I appreciate everybody being here today and the ease that you were able to describe this and actually the excitement. When you think about how we got here, it is important that we bring that up. And you need to understand that we've had to make a lot of tough decisions, things that haven't always been easy. We've actually had to close schools, we've condensed staffing, we've had to make some cuts. And sometimes those things were tough, okay? They were tough on individuals, they were tough even on schools or departments. Yet because of that discipline, we're at a place now where we can actually talk about a 3-year increase. That's what's so positive about this. Understand that this package has nothing to do with the outcome of the election. This package moves forward to the Board of Education and will be voted on by them on October 28th, well before any decision is made about the election on refinancing our bond structure. They're two separate things. They're both important for the health of our district. So again, please pay attention to the election, but this salary package, you need to pay attention to it, whether that's in communication, reaching out to your leads, like Ms. Dunn. If you're a custodian and you're having a hard time understanding, get a hold of Ms. Dunn, get a hold of Mr. Robinson, Ms. Easton. If administrator, you can turn to Ms. Kovac, and she will be able to share with you about where things stand and kind of personalize it to show how it might impact you. We also know that because this impacts our entire employee group, you all are going to have to vote on it. There's going to be an online vote. Is that correct, Mr. Robinson?
That's correct.
Would you like to say anything about that?
Yes, as you have, there is a timeline. I'm sure that Ms. Pamela Smith will recap that as well. October the 18th through the 22nd, Superintendent, is when this would go before all employees for ratification. It's going to be a simple sentence, 1 or 2 sentences that will say, what is your recommendation to the board? And then 3% is in that sentence. Also, we added that no employee will lose pay, suffer a reduction in salary. Because when we did a compensation study 20 years ago, we had to freeze some salaries because they were overpaid. And so we had to freeze the salary and you had to stay there until you catch up. But this approach here, you're not going to reduce any salaries, and that ratification will be simple to the point that all employees will have a chance to vote on that.
Wonderful, and you can see that the outline here of the proposed timeline of what things are going on. Our board will have an initial discussion about this Thursday in the board agenda meeting. You can see that the following week, employees will actually get the chance to ratify or vote for or against this. And then in between that, all that time, you can give your opinions. That can happen right now and giving us feedback. You can see the link there at the bottom of the screen, and obviously this is on our website. Final vote by the board is on the 28th, and we hope that it's a positive one. And then our team will go to work on covering all the nuances that were described here. It's not so easy when you're looking at 3,300 employees or so, because you have to look at each individual and make sure that they get placed on the right salary schedule, so that by somewhere in January, maybe sooner, that we're able to give that raise, give your salary increase, and then retrofit it. So that's our target of where we're going. Now, to wrap up tonight, the one other couple of things I want to share. We talked about being disciplined to get here, that we've had to make some tough choices. We also know that we may have to make some additional tough choices to continue to do things that will help promote our district and do the right thing. And I think we can, we have in the past, we will in the future. And they sometimes, we have to tighten our belt. If we lose students, we have to tighten our belt. We have to make sure that we're doing the right things but during this whole time of tightening our belt, I don't believe, and we've made it hard on all these folks, because I've said, we're not gonna, terminate anybody. We're not gonna riff anybody. We haven't gone through one of those things. Yet we've been able to tighten our belt and move forward. We'll probably have to still do some of that. That's okay. We can get it done, especially when you think about the outcome of 3 successive years of increases. Now think about this. Last point. This is super exciting to me. Since I've been here, what we've been able to do, especially for classified employees and for our administrators, is that you've got a bonus. My first year, or maybe right at the end of my first year of 2017, we gave you a bonus, $1,000. You know what that represents? It represents you guys having a heck of a weekend, saving up some money for Christmas, maybe taking a 3-day vacation. But it's there and gone. What a raise does, it's a gift that keeps on giving. A % increase is going to impact your bottom line when you get ready to retire. That's what's so important to me, and what it just gets me so excited about what this represents, because you all deserve it. What Ms. Brown said as our nurse is that we have gone through so much stuff in this district. Even before the pandemic, we've gone through some stuff, haven't we? But the pandemic exemplifies even more things that we've had to work through. And I admire, and I recognize, and I honor all the work that you've done. And so it's exciting to bring this salary proposal forward to all of you and to our board. We want you to be engaged. Please follow the timelines. Please follow up with questions, make your comments. But we're so pleased about where we're at this very moment in time in the Little Rock School District. And finally, go talk about it to somebody else, because guess what? We need nurses. We want great custodians. We want the best principals we can bring in, new teachers, staff. Brag about Little Rock School District. We have some good things going on, and we need to make sure we beat that out of our chest and out through our voices, because we've got things happening, and it's all tied towards something that I believed in and we've used since I got here, the power of us. That's what's generated this. Sometimes the power of us has had us go through tough things, but right now the power of us is getting pushed forward in a super positive way. Go have a great week. Thank you.